From Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida, this is Poker Night in America.
Hello, my babies, and welcome to Poker Night in America. I'm Joe Stapleton alongside Jesse Abramowitz, and tonight we will play down to the winner of the Seminole Hard Rock Poker Open 5K Championship.
On the last episode, we crowned champions at the other three tables of the Big Four, and we have one Chris Hansen to remind us of what went down in those tournaments.
Well, these other three tables finished at breakneck speed. We'll get started with the $1,100 No Limit tournament. These final 9 players outlasted a pool of 633 to fight for their share of $633,000. And taking down the $1,100 tournament was Brian Altman. His payday was $118,157. He beat out Fong Nguyen for second. Joe Kuether finished in 8th place, and the first person who left the final table was Phil Rigby. Next up, the $2,650 No Limit Hold'em freeze-out. Almost 400 players whittled down to these final 9, and that guaranteed prize pool of $1 million boasted a first place prize of nearly $205,000. And that first place prize money went to Alex Foxon. Charles Gomez finished in 2nd in this event. 4th place went to Paul Balzano. And Jacqueline Scott finished in 9th place in this $2,650 No Limit freeze-out, cashing in for just over $20,000. And then the Big Daddy, the $25,400 high roller table that blasted past its $2 million guarantee and had an insane prize pool of nearly $3 million. Some pretty fierce competition, but in the end, it was John Andrus who walked away with the $800,000 payday. A couple of Poker Night in America regulars finishing in 7th and 9th place. First of all, in 7th place, Chance Corneth. And look at that, Matt Glantz making an appearance on Poker Night in America, coming up a bit short of the ultimate prize, but still a cash of $76,000. All right, guys, my work here is done. Let's send it back to you.
Thanks, Chris. Tonight's going to be just like that song by the Spice Girls, When Two Become One, except there's 5, so 2.5 of that song.
When did you write this?
Last night.
Before or after the sleeping pill?
After.
Honestly, not bad.
Yeah, some people claim they get a little funny on them, but it doesn't seem to peanut butter tantrum polio elevator me at all.
Let's head down to the felt. So far in the main event of the Big Four, we have lost 4. Kuether, Brereton, Levy, Mermelstein have all fallen. We are down to 5, which means 4 more eliminations, and we will have our champion. 750 grand up top. Let's do this.
Blinds are up to 60 and 120 with a 20K ante. Average stack, just over 5.3 million.
Action on Daryl Drazen. Makes it 250K with King Jack suited. Michael Aron flats with Ace Jack suited.
Michael calls on the button, 250.
Aron's got the power of position. Ace 7 for Kozlov. Wisely folds. Matt Berkey in the big blind.
Berkey sitting on 70 bigs here.
He's coming along for the ride. 3 ways to this flop. Queen 10-4. Club.
There's no real wrong way for Drazen to play this hand.
Open fold.
I stand corrected.
Do you think Drazen's ever thinking about a check raise here?
I'd say it's probably all he's thinking about after he checks.
Well, Aron has taken the bait. Berkey's out.
And Aron, not wrong to bet here. Ace-Jack high is going to be good sometimes. Obviously has that gut shot and backdoor royal flush draw.
A backdoor royal flush draw, really? I guess I have a backdoor chance of hooking up with Megan Fox.
It's like 6%.
All in.
There's the all-in from Dr. Azen. You done messed up, Aron. Aron.
Fun fact about Dylan Drazen, in a former life, he was a traveling DJ specializing in the art of techno.
How about the art of winning with King High? Picks up nearly 1 million chips in that pot.
And that is much needed. Beginning the hand at 42 bigs, that will separate him just a bit from Kozlov and Lee, who are in the 30 big blind range.
Speaking of Lee, he is first to act here. Queen, 8 of clubs.
Now keep in mind, next person to go busto will make $191,000, and then the pay jumps really start to kick up. Drazen deciding to mix things up here with a limp.
120.
Bianca, just stay close to that top rail, okay? It's like the sixth sense that you have that people want.
Someone is in need
Yeah.
of booze.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going 3 ways to this flop. King High with 2 hearts. Top pair for Kozlov. Big draw and a pair for Drazen. After this hand and the last one, we should start to call him Daryl Drazen because of the draws.
What about when he has a pair and a draw?
Peril Drazen.
Sounds good to me.
Kozlov may be looking to get it in here when he raises with top pair. Wants to protect against this fairly wet board.
I actually don't understand this raise, to be perfectly honest.
Rolling.
But Kozlov is very accomplished himself. He won the 10K 6 max at the World Series of Poker 2016.
And the all-in from Drazen gets the fold by what was technically the best hand.
A lot of ICM implications there. Lots of money left to be won.
Drazen getting brazen, seizing chips early to kick things off.
And we are getting controversial with a commercial. We'll be right back after this.
How would you like to play against the pros on national TV? Download now to play and win. It's absolutely free to play.
Welcome back to the Big Four here at the Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida.
Just 5 remain. Let's get back to the action.
Those remaining 5 are Matt Berkey, Dylan Drazen, Yi Chi Lee, Michael Aron, Martin Kozlov. Berkey is way out in front, but as we know, this is poker and anything can happen. Action on DD. Line 16, 120K.
240. 240.
From the cutoff, Aron, 9-7 suited, totally acceptable open. He does have 29 bigs to start the hand, though.
Is he mostly hoping for folds here? He certainly doesn't want anyone to play back at him, I assume, with 9-7.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the hand would end should he face a raise.
And Berkey continues his trend of just flatting fairly strong hands. We've seen this entire final table.
Worked out so far.
Left flop.
He is the chip boss.
6, 7.
Pretty strong flop for ace-10. Top pair, top kicker, backdoor nut flush draw. Aron's also flopped a pair and a draw.
Top for Berkey. Not an easy spot for Aron. He can never really fold here, but he has to be considerate of his remaining stack. If you're Matt Berkey, you're probably not assigning 7 to any of the opening hands from Aron here.
Total blank on the river. After it goes check, check.
Now, I don't know why Aron actually checked back that turn. It would be a totally reasonable spot to bet with nothing, let alone having trip 7s.
I think a lot of players in the moment, they opt for deception, even though it doesn't really get them that much. But in this case, he has managed to induce a large bet from Matt Berkey.
And he's going to be asking himself 2 questions, Aron, that is. If I raise, do I get called by anything? And is there any way that I'm beat here after Berkey bet the flop, checked the turn, and now leads big on the river? Just a call.
It's a tough spot to get called when you raise there by a worse hand, I think, so.
It was definitely a weird hand.
75, 150.
Blinds are up, by the way, kids. 75, 150,000 with a 25K ante. The ante at this point, almost an entire starting stack. Action's folded around to Kozlov on the button.
Kozlov, only 13 bigs. I think we know what he's going to do here.
Time to make like a school sandwich and jam.
Kozlov, with just 12.5 bigs, looks down at a suited ace. This is just a standard ABC shove. So Lee, pondering, does make the call.
Looks like ace 4 for Lee and
Lee calls dominating. However, this hand will end in a chop a large percentage of the time. Slight domination.
It'll only cost 11.5 big blinds for Lee to call. However, he only has 23 in his stack, and there is a 60K difference between 5th and 4th place.
Lee's gonna need to catch good on the river if he wants to not double up Kozlov. He does not catch good, and his loose call did not end in a chop. It ended in Martin Kozlov doubling up.
actions folded around to
Aron, 27 bigs here on the button.
All in.
All in.
Michael announces all
Now that he's taken his hat off, I realize he's such a hottie. It's like one of those 90s movies when the girl takes her glasses off.
Sorry.
What?
Michael's out of the small blind, and
Call from
Berkey is
Berkey.
Call.
going to announce call from the big blind.
We are
So
flipping
top
luck, man.
nines, Michael has
potentially
ace,
for 5th
10
place.
offsuit.
Over 8 million in the middle. This is a big pot.
Here, that's on the line.
Aron is at risk. He is more behind than usual because we've already seen 2 10s folded.
Flop is king, jack, 6, 2 clubs.
All things considered, flops
Michael's got a
relatively
couple
well.
cards. A queen also helps him. Let's see the turn, please. The turn is the 4 of hearts. Berkey's 9s are still in the lead here. To the river. The river pairs the 6, and that means Michael Aron is going to be our 5th place finisher.
9s hold. Aron is out of here. 6-figure score for him.
So we say goodbye to Michael Aron, eliminated in 5th place. He'll take home $191,437.
Time for Aron to be gone. We are down to 4.
Table, obviously.
Aron done messed up for the final time here at the Big Four, but he leaves with nearly 200 grand. Back after this. Time to pick up the action. 4-handed Yi-Chi Lee, for all intents, is due to be the next player out. It's a tale of the haves and the have-nots. Yi-Chi Lee is a knot. Action on Martin Kozlov to kick things off. Blind still at 75-150. Hello, ladies. Having Lee as the short stack is going to affect play ever so slightly.
Without a doubt, next one eliminated will take home $252K, but the pay jump after that is $90,000.
Things could get pretty hot and heavy, queens versus jack, but with Lee having an under 10 big blind stack, it is very unlikely we'll see them play for it all pre-flop.
Both of these players very aware of the situation.
All in. Call.
Snap call from Berkey.
Okay, well, I was wrong. Turns out they're perfectly happy to get it all in with Lee having fewer than 10 big blinds, and I'm also an idiot. Jesse, why don't you handle analysis from now on?
All right.
The flop comes 9.
Jack's in big trouble. Kozlov, the player at risk. 9 high flop. No help for Jacks. 8 on the turn.
Turn brings the
Too late for a straight draw.
one more card to come.
Just the river can save Berkey. Kozlov doubles up through him.
Major turning point for Kozlov. Average stack was about 6.5 million, and now Kozlov's sitting with over 12.
And that makes Kozlov the new chip leader.
And Lee is going to move all in from under the gun this hand.
Yi Chi Lee all in from under the gun. Queen 5 off, just a few big blinds.
450,000 in the middle.
Dylan Drazen makes the call. Kozlov still to act, and Berkey to act behind him. The bad news for Lee is that he could be facing 3 opponents. The good news is the more opponents, the more chips he can win. He's going to be facing 2 opponents. And Lee is drawing Lee the as in live. That didn't work. Do not edit that out. Keep that in.
Berkey's going to be first to act. The flop is Jack 9-3 rainbow.
Drazen flops best with top 2 pair, and he is an 82% favorite to win this hand. Action is on Drazen.
Berkey checks. Dylan bets 500,000.
Slide action does remain between Dylan Drazen and Matt Berkey.
Berkey might proceed with caution. He has 28 big blinds, but has decided to call here.
Real caution would have been to fold. He does not pick up any additional outs on the turn.
Drazen probably assuming that Berkey never has a 3 in his hand. And if that's the case, then there's no reason not to continue to bet jacks and 9s for value. The only chance Lee has of winning this pot is getting a fold from Berkey and rivering a queen.
It's going to get a fold from Berkey. Dylan shows
Well,
Jack
Lee's halfway there.
9,
Berkey's
Jack
folded.
9. Lee has
5% chance Lee survives this hand. Otherwise, we are going 3-handed.
Needs a queen on the river. River is the 8 of hearts.
Top 2 holes for Drazen. Yi Chi Lee is leaving the building. 4th place finish here in the Big 4 main event. Jesse, what does he take home?
$252,481.
All right, my babies, and we are now 3-handed. One of these 3 players will be winning a giant guitar pick-shaped trophy and $750,000. Matt Berkey limps in, Jack 10 off.
Berkey limping here with 30 bigs would need more than a double up to get close to 2nd place in chips. Drazen applying the pressure, cognizant of those stacks.
So the old limp call from Matt Berkey. Drazen the slight favorite with ace high to the flop. 5-5 deuce. Drazen pairs his deuce. Berkey with no pair and no draw. Now faces a bet of $800K and quickly folds. Berkey will be first to act here.
Small to clap for.
Ace queen of diamonds. Delicious.
If I get a walk in the tournament.
There's another one of those just calls from Berkey.
A little pre-flop trap. Don't think Drazen's gonna get into too much trouble with the old 8 Drazen.
I like it. You're trying something new.
I mean, Queen 9, I think, is in a good spot to...
Good thing we finally learned.
Well, I was gonna say take a free flop, but now that I saw he raised.
Being down 3-handed with 1 table to go,
All in.
right?
All in.
Berkey will take some much needed chips there. A little more breathing room, back up over 30 bigs.
We are down to 3 in the Seminole Hard Rock Big 4.
I'd say don't change that dial, but if you have an actual dial, you're probably too dusty to get to the TV.
Back after this.
Poker Night in America is brought to you by our trusted friend, Kimosabi Mezcal. Why settle for tequila? Step up to Kimosabi.
Welcome back to the Big 4, where each of the 3 remaining players has locked up over $341,000.
That reminds me of a TV show I once pitched called Locked Up, where Phil Locke decides the jail sentencing for violent criminals, and then they play them for their freedom. Did not get picked up.
And now I fear for the fate of this show as well. Let's get back to the action.
I also fear for the fate of Matt Berkey, a very talented and accomplished player, but the short stack at this table, so his hands are pretty much tied. Not going to be too much creativity left for Matt, although the limp re-raising has been working out well for him. He can still pull that move off if he wants.
That is a long peel.
Well, if I had a hand as good as ace-queen, I'd want to take a long look at it, too. Berkey shoving ace-5 into the raise from Kozlov, who has ace-queen.
Call for Martin. Ace-5 for Matt.
Insta-call from Kozlov. Domination Nation. Berkey in big trouble here. To the flop.
Tournament life is on the line.
Queen in the door, that is it. Berkey is drawing pretty much dead on this flop.
And by pretty much, I think you mean entirely.
Good game, man.
Berkey would need running aces just to chop this board. That is not an ace. It's all over. Berkey, Matt, eliminated. Third place.
Congratulations, Matt Berkey. Go to the cage and collect $341,618.
That's enough for almost 1 year at Berkeley. Time for heads up action. Blinds are up as well. 100,000, 200,000 with a 25K ante. Playing for that giant guitar pick in the center. We've got a real hand here from Kozlov. King, Jack suited. Raising his button heads up. Dylan Drazen using his raisin to think about this hand. And 3-bet is the play as far as he's concerned with ace-5 suited.
I like the just call from Kozlov in position. Some players may opt to 4-bet this.
Yeah, why get it in with king high? Well, that's a pretty good flop for King Jack, otherwise known as Le Nuts. Drazen with 1% equity in this hand, but is not stopping Drazen from continuing.
Can't fault Dylan for continuing here. And Kozlov actually a bit unlucky that Drazen has whiffed on this board texture.
Only a poker player could flop the joint and then consider himself unlucky.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Kozlov just praying that Drazen has some piece of this.
Fortunately for him, Drazen does not. And this is going to be a tank fold. There you have it. But Kozlov is going to widen his chip lead with that pot.
Look at how many coasters he has now.
Do you know the Seminole Hard Rock has a vending machine that accepts those? Does not give change, however, so be careful. Kozlov raising 4-deuce suited. Drazen with a not-so-great hand, but this is heads up, so I don't know what the hell is going on.
Any two will often do.
Hey, they're heads up to the flop. Kozlov pairs his 4.
Pretty good flop for 4-deuce.
Checks it. And this is a pretty interesting turn card.
Both players with a straight draw now.
Both up and down, but one of them to a much better straight draw.
If you're Drazen and Kozlov checks back this flop, you may not be assigning any jacks or wheel draws to his range. This looks like a delayed C-bet coming from Kozlov.
Oh, now you bet. Now there's mad straight draws out there.
So now, when he makes it 1.85 million, it doesn't seem all that crazy. But Kozlov, having checked back that 4, has really disguised his hand. Getting just under 3-1 on a call. Obviously knows he cannot win the hand at showdown.
Here we go to the river, and the river brings the 8 of spades.
But if he does put Kozlov on the type of hand he actually has, he may think there's a chance he can get him to fold it.
It's hard to even consider what hands are in Kozlov's range. What checks this flop back and then bet calls the turn?
I'll tell you what, I like the sizing here. I like the amount of effort being put into this bluff. What I'm not so sure of here is what hands actually got there on the river.
0 hands get there on the river. 8 of spades does not change anything.
So this would have to be some kind of slow-played monster from the flop, or maybe a 6-7 that got there on the turn. There's just not a whole lot of pot-size value bets that can be repped here, I don't think.
Kozlov most likely to just have one pair here, and this would be a tough bet to call with any one pair.
And the semi-nonsensical bluff is so powerful that it gets the job done anyway. Dylan Drazen gains a lot of ground stealing that pot on the river.
Heads-up play ain't for the faint of heart.
What is for the faint of heart?
I have no idea what that statement even means. It's a non sequitur.
You don't know what that means either, do you?
No.
Great. Back after this. Welcome back to the Big Four main event here at the Seminole Hard Rock.
Heads-up play continues between Martin Kozlov and Dylan Drazen.
The CIA has got you pushing too many pencils, Dylan? It's from Predator.
I know.
Not pushing pencils so much as he has been pushing chips. A lot of movement back and forth between these two players, but he has a long way to go if he's going to take out Martin Kozlov. And Drazen waking up with aces in the big blind this hand. Kozlov is limped in on the button.
Who are you texting back there?
You know who I'm texting. I've been right and left swiping all the live long day, and it's about to be go time. Things are wrapping up. It's heads up.
600,000 is good.
Check out your boy Matt Savage making a cameo appearance. Queen 6-6, flush draw versus overpair. We're gonna see some more chips go in the middle here.
Half pot sizing for Drazen. Kozlov, either lucky or unlucky to pick up a heart draw. 2.45 in the middle.
Martin calls the 600. Turn is the king of spades.
Let's see what kind of sizing Drazen goes for here on the turn. 600K again is the bet. It's a little interesting. Designed to keep most hands in there, and it's going to allow Kozlov to draw once more at a pretty fair price.
Still playing the 6, Gabe. To the river.
The 8 of spades comes on the river.
I think Drazen knows that if he bets here, he might elicit folds from the queen. Should get raised by the 6, and it's hard to put a king in Kozlov's hand, so I actually really love this check, leaving the door open to a bluff. Kozlov playing the board. Smart check.
Kozlov decides to take the showdown that he is almost certainly never going to win. Does not fall into the trap. Drazen gains even more ground.
How much ground, do you ask?
I did want to ask, but I didn't want to put you on the spot. I'm genuinely curious.
Drazen up to 46 bigs. That's good for 9.2 million. Still trailing the 17.5 million.
However, crucially, a double up now, and they flip-flop on the leaderboard. Kozlov limps in with queen 7 of clubs. Drazen with pocket 4s. Another very strong hand heads up.
Drazen making it a bit expensive for Kozlov to continue limping the button.
Martin will make that call.
Queen 9 deuce.
Queen 9 deuce, rainbow's the flop.
Thank you, Maria. Rainbow is the flop. Top pair for Kozlov. Drazen's check to him. Kozlov checks behind.
Now that deuces have paired on the turn, Drazen may believe that 4s are good.
Hard to make a pair. And Drazen fires for 800,000.
Martin's still sticking around. To river, 7 of hearts.
Kozlov improves his 2 pair to a better 2 pair, but which is just nonsense.
Drazen with the decision here as to whether or not he should bet, decides he wants to check. Weird spot for pocket fours. Tough to get called by a worse hand. Tough to fold out better. A lot of times the only way to get value is to check and let your opponent try to bluff at it. However, we know this is not a bluff. 1.1 million is the bet. Drazen tries to snap off the supposed bluff, but instead snaps himself off.
And now is a 4-1 underdog as heads-up play continues.
Sizable pot shifts his direction.
Blinds up, by the way, 125,000, 250,000. Drazen first to act.
Real hand alert, 2 10s, about 24 big blinds in his stack.
Suited aces, how's that even possible? Ace, ace of diamonds.
Two square tops for Kozlov.
Can you explain that? How are there 2 aces of diamonds?
I will not entertain this.
In the words of Twitch, genuine question. Oh, it was ace-4. That explains it.
Dylan says call. Martin shows ace-4 diamond.
All in and a call.
Dylan
10's in great shape here.
It's Dylan's tournament life that's on the line right now.
Favorite, however.
Drazen in a great spot to double up. He's got a few things to fade, but 10's are in great shape. Jack, 9 tray on the flop. 10's looking good. Just 1 diamond out there. 1 wheel card. The turn is a 6.
Is the 6 of clubs, so Martin is looking for that.
93% chance. Drazen doubles up. A deuce on the river. He fades it all. Dylan Drazen up to nearly 12 million in chips. 14 million for Martin Kozlov.
And if you're Joe's Tinder date, your odds of Joe canceling on you just went up infinitely.
It's a brand new ball game for Dylan Drazen.
This thing could go all night, or at least to the hour mark.
Poker Night is brought to you by Sit and Go 2.0. Go to sitandgo20.net and claim your free Sit and Go 2.0 strategy ebook.
Welcome back to the Big Four at the Seminole Hard Rock Poker Open.
We are still heads up for the championship and a massive payday. Joe, what do you say we head on over or down or out to the table?
Yeah, whatever. We are closing in on a winner here at the Seminole Hard Rock Poker Open Big Four main event. 15 million plays, 11 million. Kozlov with the slight chip lead, but it is anybody's game. Blinds are 125, 250K, 25K ante. Kozlov limping in with 10-7 of diamonds. Ace-5 of clubs for Drazen. It is his option, and he checks. That ace going to be a little under-repped. And what a flop this is. Top pair for Kozlov. Nut flush draw for Drazen.
Oh, would you look at that? Just look at it.
I am looking at it.
Just look at it.
That's how I knew what it was. And Drazen is going to lead at this, 375K. Much like the Yanni Laurel debate, Kozlov is going nowhere.
Martin calls.
We are going to the turn. It's a 7-2 pair now for Kozlov. He is even going more nowhere now. I don't think Drazen can really slow down here. He does, all right. Now I think he's going to be in the position to have to call a bet here on the turn. 1.05 million is the bet from Kozlov with his 2 pair.
It's actually a pretty big bet size here on the turn. What are the hands that Drazen would lead flop and then check call turn.
Ace-5 of clubs.
I agree. Also, just any club hands, maybe hands like Queen 8, Jack 7.
Maybe 7-8, Jack 7. And Dylan catches good on the river. It's a club nut flush for D squared.
3.4 in the middle. He's going big. That means he actually puts Kozlov on a strong hand.
What a terrible spot for Kozlov.
Kozlov is a crafty player, though. I wonder if he can sniff this one out. His spidey senses must be tingling. Do you think spiders knew that they were going to be the spokesperson of good poker reads?
I mean, if the sense was really worth anything, they did. And Kozlov manages to lay down 2 pair.
Laying down 2 pair heads up? That's unfathomable.
Really well done there. Drazen gets a little bit back, but not as much as he could have without the disciplined fold of Martin Kozlov. Drazen now first to act pre-flop. And he's going to make it 625,000 with 10-9 off. Queen Jack is the hand for Kozlov.
Does it bother you that Kozlov has one sleeve up and one sleeve halfway?
You know, the one sleeve doesn't bother me, but the unfolded brim does. So, you know, different strokes for different folks.
Well, this isn't a fun flop.
Queen high.
Why is this hand in the show?
Queen high still ahead. Kozlov checks to Drazen, who was the pre-flop raiser.
Six and a quarter.
So that's 625K.
Kozlov's like, you know what? This board hits me more than it hits you, so I'll just call.
Martin makes the call.
Big turn coming. It's a 6. Neither player improves. Queen high still the best hand.
Here comes the turn lead, which is very difficult to defend against. Oh, now we're playing poker. Don't use that. That was stupid. Just kidding. Leave that in.
Definitely
Leave
use
all of this
everything
in.
he just said. And the turn lead, AKA difficult to defend against, according to Jesse Abramowitz, was in fact difficult to defend against and wins Martin Kozlov that pot.
Story checks out.
Once again, widening his chip lead against Dylan Drazen.
About 2-1 now.
They're playing for over $750,000 and the SHRPO Championship Trophy.
Whoa.
And the guitar.
And the Cowboys.
I feel like one of you guys really want this guitar for Martin, so someone up here knows how to play?
Someone can shred.
Kozlov with the clangers makes it 600K. Drazen shouldn't get in too much trouble pre-flop with this hand.
But you know what they call kings? Jack 8 magnets.
I did not know that, but the story is checking out. Pretty standard for Drazen to call this bet. It's what happens after the flop that's going to be crucial in this hand.
Raise and call to the flop.
And
Well,
Drazen has unfortunately paired his 8.
Queen of hearts.
Kozlov with top set.
It's hard to make a pair, let alone a set heads up at the final table of the main event.
Let alone a set heads up at the final table of the main event of the Big Four, and your opponent also flops a pair. Drazen fires 400K into the middle, never to return now that this 4 is peeled off and he is drawing dead. And this is a situation where Kozlov is never folding.
How can he possibly build the pot? This is a pretty draw-heavy board, 2 hearts out there with a straight draw. If he sizes this up properly and gets a call, he can set himself up for a very hefty river bet if it gets that far. And if you look at the size of this bet and you're Drazen and you're looking for a reason to believe that you think you're being bluffed, well, there it is, the overbet on the turn.
And this is worked on Dylan Drazen, hook, line, and sinker. Luckily for him, he does not improve, and the board texture gets worse for his hand.
This is actually the worst river for Drazen because he wants to believe that hearts will 100% slow up the betting action of Kozlov.
I would contend that a jack or an 8 on the river would be a worse card for Drazen.
You're entitled to your opinion, man.
But a heart is the least obvious worst card for Drazen.
All in.
Martin announces all in.
8.1 million all in.
And by the way, if Drazen calls here, it is over. We have got a champion.
He's got Dylan covered.
This would be pretty thin.
As thin as your Tinder date.
Call.
Wow, Drazen makes the call, and much like my Tinder date, he is out.
It is over.
Martin Kozlov, the 2017 Seminole Hard Rock Poker Open Big Four main event champion. Winner, winner, guitar pick dinner, $750,000. What a hard-fought battle.
Dang, did it, man.
Got Drazen to make the loose call on the end, snaps him off with a set of kings, and goes home $750,000 richer.
Dylan Drazen for second place will go home with $528,322. Not bad.
Congratulations to all of our Big Four winners. Brian Altman took down the 1K for $118,000. Joe Kuether, who finished 9th in our main event, fared slightly better in the 1K, finishing in 8th for $15,000. But props to that guy on 2 final tables.
The winner of the $2,500 freeze-out was Alex Boxon, who's on an absolute tear lately. Last year's main event winner, Jason Kuhn, finished 3rd in that same event for $92K. And our $25K high roller was won by John Andres for over $801,000.
And of course, congratulations to Martin Kozlov, winner of the main event, and $750,000. Nice work all around.
For more from Poker Night, you can find us on social media, including Twitch and YouTube, where you can find full episodes, live streams, and exclusive content. Also, don't forget to download our free poker app. You and your friends can have your very own poker night, as well as a chance to win a seat on our show. Search for us in your app store and download it today.
For everyone here at Poker Night America, good night, my babies.
I did it. What the?